You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Welcome to ASEAN BIZ, your only choice for business updates covering ASEAN countries. I'm Andrew Chia
and Eric Chong,
and we bring you business news on everything that happens around the world that involves ASEAN countries.
In these brand new editions, we bring you 4 segments: the current business update, our Durian main story, funny business moment, and health is wealth. Let us start off with our current business update. Our focus today is on the investor clubs in Malaysia. Well, Andrew, can you tell us more about what is this investor club is all about?
There are a lot of investors clubs in the world, whether investing in properties or stocks or any other business. Right now, today's story is about investor clubs involved in properties in Malaysia.
Yes, and I think now the most popular investing tools or investing portfolio, the people are going for properties. Yeah?
Always properties is one of the favorites. And there are a group of people is forming this so-called property investor clubs. Yeah, the latest news says that the House Buyers Association in Malaysia, the HBA, is saying that the government should act against investor clubs manipulating the housing market by en bloc purchases.
And how do they do it?
En bloc, that means they buy up to 60% of the units of a new project or development.
And I believe that most of them will just group together to buy a big...
Yeah, actually the idea is very good.
The idea is there. They bulk purchase. It's same thing like when you're doing trading, you group together a few entrepreneurs, buy a single product in bulks, and you get a special discount. So in this case, they are operating it with the house as their products.
Yeah, the idea is not too bad. Yes. When you have a lot of people together, you can get more discounts, right?
Yes. And most developers will be very welcome of this kind of clubs because they can sell their units much faster.
And sell more units.
And they don't mind giving out much better discounts. Because as you all know that the building prices or rather the house prices actually escalated a lot during the recent year. So this could be some of the factors.
Yeah, so sometimes the things that are good or with the advantages also comes with certain problems. Yes. So right now it says that the clubs are manipulating the housing market, which is not really a good thing, right?
Yes, and it's true because nowadays you look at it, property like a condo. A simple condo will cost you close to $600 per square feet, which is ridiculous. It used to be about 120 per square feet.
Right.
Because
much
in those
cheaper.
days, developers are much more, I would say, much more ethical. They work out their building costs, they put in their profit margins, then only they put in the proper prices. Now they got to put in the agent commission, they got to put in the block discounts, and they got to put in higher margins. That's why you see the prices of
to cover for their commission, right?
Yes. So in this sense, I would say those sincere buyer who buy for their own stay will be much affected.
You'll get a slightly inflated price for their houses.
Price, or you look at it in another way, is a highly overpriced property. So what causes this group of people to have this kind of so-called concept to go and buy in bulks?
Well, Eric, I always observe this. Whenever there's money involved in whatever business or projects, people will think of some genius, innovative way to make money, right?
Yes, in this case, I think most of them group together under the advice of one leader. They call themselves the property guru.
Right, yeah.
Yes, and,
or the head of the investor club.
And we met quite a number of these kind of gurus.
Right.
And I would say most of them are theoretically they are very correct, but legally I don't think so.
Yes, there's a small problem here.
Yes.
Where all these investor clubs, they are headed by people who are not qualified. There's an examination in Malaysia where you have to sit in order to become a real estate agent or negotiator or a valuer.
So I would say most of them does not carry these certifications or does not carry this license.
So which means that they are actually not qualified to give advice. In a way, yes. Okay.
Their qualification maybe is because they have successfully invested and made money themselves. So they start calling themselves gurus, right?
It's true, because nowadays you can see so many gurus in the market. You have seen share investing gurus, you have seen forex trading gurus, and all this.
Yeah, all these gurus.
So it always crosses my mind that if the guru is so good with the technique and so clever with the technique that can make money, why would they share out them?
No, but the gurus also need a lot of people together to group together. Then only they can get better discounts, right?
Yes, yeah. So and then be a member is not cheap also.
Yes. It writes here the report by HBA. They pay have something like 300 ringgit to 6,000 ringgit in order to join the membership.
And members can get what, like 15% discounts, which is much higher than our 7% discount for Boomies.
Right, yeah, that's a very good benefit for being a member, right? What is 6,000 ringgit when you get 60,000 ringgit of discount from property that you buy, right?
Yes, and most of the discount will be bear by the other purchaser.
Yeah.
Because other purchaser might not be able to get discounts.
Right, but on the surface, it looks like a win-win-win situation whereby the member pays a small membership fee and get a big discount for his purchases. The so-called property guru, they get, of course, the membership fees of their followers. Plus, on top of that,
their agency commission.
They have an agency commission. Let's say they give 15% discount for their members, but they could be getting something like 20 or even 25% from the developers themselves.
Yes, and I believe that they don't pass back all the discounts to the members.
Of course.
Maybe they just retain the 3% is very substantial amount.
But then their members are happy also because they get their 15%. They're not complaining, right?
True, they're not complaining because they addressed him as guru.
Yeah, so guru make a bit of money. It's okay lah.
It's okay lah.
You know, so guru also need to buy house for himself, ma.
Yes, buy houses lah.
Right. So the gurus buy their units at a slightly higher discount. So it's fair.
It's fair.
The members are not complaining. The gurus are not complaining. Are the developers complaining?
Developers also not complaining.
Definitely.
So in this sense,
it's a win-win-win situation, right?
How can it affect the HBA and the general public?
So there's something that people say there's no free lunch in the world, right?
Yes.
So something's got to give. So what happens usually is, for example, if you are having a project that is very easy to sell with a reasonable price, you don't actually need to give discounts as a developer, right?
Yes, that's true.
So those developers are giving discounts and huge discounts. So their projects probably could be speculative
and difficult to sell.
Probably in an area that is not developed yet. A market that is not proven. So in order to reduce their risk, they give a high commission to whoever the agents or the gurus to help them boost their project.
Yes, and the gurus can actually leverage on the discount by saying that how many members they have in their clubs.
Of course.
So let's say they have 200 members. They said easily I can slap out another 150 units of.
Yeah, it says here in this report that I can take up to 60% of your unsold units.
Yeah.
So the developer is laughing his way to the bank, right?
Yes. As far as the developer is concerned, I sold all my units. Whether how in future what's the markets behave and how it works is not my concern anymore.
So in this case, in the end, who is actually losing?
Actually, if the area is not developed and nobody
it turns
moves
out that the demand is not really that good.
The demand is not there, and actually it's the members that will lose out.
Right, because they have bought properties that they cannot rent out and cannot be resold, right?
Right, and you look at this particular scenarios, I believe that was in Nilai many years back.
Right.
There's a group of people, group of businessmen just go there and buy. Then when the market is not moving, population are not moving in, they found that they have factories but no workers. Okay.
So it's poor planning, right?
And the whole,
by the developers.
The whole projects actually take years to come alive.
Right. Even in places like Bukit Buntong, guys, we are talking about Malaysia the whole morning. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Because
I believe in other countries it's the same. We always have an over-demand situation. After that, we will have an oversupply situation.
Yes, and recently I think it comes up from China also.
Right.
China has been developed quite a number of ghost cities.
Right.
So in this
they are not
case,
occupied.
They are not occupied. They are totally deserted. So in this sense, it's demand more than supply.
It's a matter of timing, Eric. Sometimes the crowd doesn't move in until say 5 or 10 years later. You look at our Putrajaya and Cyberjaya projects, right?
Yes.
It's like government projects, and up to now is how many years already? Almost 10 years, right?
20 years.
Really?
Close
so
to
long
20
already.
Years. Yes.
Yeah. And the crowd is still not there yet.
Crowd is still not there. If you look at Cyberjaya, there are a number of housing estates in Cyberjaya, but it's hardly taken up. But then now I think they are doing a relaunching.
Right. Hopefully they do a better marketing.
Up the event, put in more facilities, and engaging more clubs to sell.
But then, Eric, there's another project in Malaysia which was a fantastic flop years ago, but right now it's very booming. It's Bukit Berontong, right? I heard it's a very happening place right now. The banks have moved in. They have semi-D houses, as terrace houses, all taken up. So it's a matter of timing, right?
And I think the observation is not exactly true in that sense. I have a few friends staying in Bukit Berontong, and it's not actually a very robust place.
Maybe it's slightly better compared to earlier.
Slightly better because there's one or two supermarkets are in there.
Right.
So the surroundings, estates, workers also there. It's just that it's unable to command that kind of traffic and unable to command that kind of value. So you are seeing that it's just a normal run-of-the-mill customers, residents. So you can hardly do any robust business over there.
So coming back to our investor clubs project, what happens to the investors actually? They have got their 15% discount, right?
Yes.
So in the end, why are they still losing out?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, is that probably the area is not developed yet,
and the prices are inflated more than 15%.
And
so they thought they actually got a good discount,
bargain, but actually they are just buying at the developers'
normal selling price. Not really a discount, right?
Not really a discount. So probably the S&P shows a very highly inflated value, but what actually is they are still getting the normal selling price of the developer.
Right.
And please bear in mind that a developer can invest hundreds of millions in the projects, and they are not so stupid.
So is it fair, would you say, Eric, to blame the investor club gurus for their problems? If the members actually get hurt
It's hard to say whether to blame the gurus. As an investor, you got to do your own homework.
Right.
You got to be more responsible with your money.
But the problem, Eric, when it comes to doing homework, a lot of people like others to do their homework. After all, you are my guru. You have done the homework, right? Yes. Whatever you buy, I buy. You jump, I jump.
So in this sense, I think we are doing a lot of homework for our general public. We are targeting our audience.
Yeah. Our homework is to encourage everybody to do their homework
and be more knowledgeable in whatever areas you're going into, and even especially in the field of investment, whether it's the shares, whether it's the properties or other derivatives. So in this sense, I believe that the best advice from all investors or all gurus is to do your own homework. The gurus are there to actually highlight which part of homework that you should be doing.
Actually, to be fair, we have so far painted a bad picture about gurus, which is not fair. There are actually some gurus that actually teach the people to do their homework and to buy at a reasonable price.
Yes, and I met quite a few gurus. They are quite good. They give you a proper framework. They formatted how to do the homework for you, how you are going to do your homework. They give you a format, so in this sense you won't go haywire. Because to ask somebody to do homework, just pick up the books, read from the newspaper, they don't know where to start.
Yes.
So this guru will give them some guidelines, where to look for and what to look for,
Sometimes being a guru is very tough, Eric.
Yes.
Because your followers or your members expect you to do the homework for them. And they always come with $1 million question. Sir, what are you buying? I want to know. So that I also want to buy.
You buy, I buy.
Right. Yes. So the guru, probably in all honesty, he could have done a survey on a particular project. And he will say things like, the price now is reasonable because why? The cost of building materials are going up. The cost of labor is going up. So everything is going up. And the price of the properties, of course, will go up. So at that point when he was saying that, it's probably true.
Yes.
But a few months later, the price of everything may be going down.
Yes.
And like the price of building materials due to poor demand, right?
Yes. And we can see that the so-called the cost of steel actually drops.
Yeah.
Despite the high US dollars exchange, the cost of steel actually drops.
Right.
So in this sense, actually it affects the building material cost.
The problem is, Eric, a lot of people are not so financially intelligent to understand that cost of things like gold, silver or steel can actually drop. They always think that the price of things can only go up cannot go down. So when a guru comes and tells them, it keeps going up, of course, it fits into what they understand, right?
Their frame of mind. It's true. Everybody frame of mind always says that it's going up, everything is going up.
And probably at a certain time in the past, banks are very relaxed in lending money to property investment, right?
Yes.
So they can easily get their loans for expensive pieces of properties like a 900,000 ringgit condominium, which normally costs about half that price. And the banks are lending. So the gurus will tell them, blue skies, line clear, no problem. You see, even the banks agree that's the value.
Yes, and you can't blame the bank because bank need to do business also.
Right.
So
everybody wants to make money.
Especially nowadays, you see that the bank have their own marketing teams into dispersing loans. So marketing teams also need to meet quotas.
Right. Once in a while, people will change direction. Like, for example, the banks right now are not so relaxed in their lending. They are more selective and interest rates are going up. So thereby causing the price of properties to go down. I mean, that is one of the factors lah.
Right. So, okay, I think we take a short break.
Okay, right, yes.
Now, and we'll be back with our main story for today. Stay tuned, guys. Don't go away.
Right. Welcome back. You are listening to ASEAN Biz, and our Durian main story today is English as a tool for business success in ASEAN. But before we bring you our main story, Eric is going to share with us his funny business moment, and the title of his story today is Why Men Are Always Happy. Are you sure, Eric?
Yes.
Are you going to insult some ladies out there?
Not yet.
That's bad.
You see, I was in Penang the last weekend doing my Penang 100 km ultra marathon.
Yes, everybody knows Eric is a 100 km marathoner.
Yes. I passed by this shop, and there are two particular posters which caught my attention. One is a joke and the other on health, so I bring the second poster up later. So this particular poster have Mr. Bean face on it.
Okay.
A very jovial, funny looking face.
So Eric is trying to share Mr. Bean's fun with us today.
And the title is Why Men Are Always Happy. So there are 7 incidences. Number 1, their last names always stay with them forever. Last name, in case in our Chinese, is surname.
Right. In Chinese and in English, the last name stays forever. In some other languages or races, the last name disappears after one generation.
And phone conversation lasts just for 30 seconds flat.
Yeah, they don't waste a lot of money, right? And they save a lot of time.
A 5-day vacation requires only 1 jeans.
Just a pair of jeans is all we need for a 5-day vacation. Hey, that's disgusting, man.
And this one is interesting. If someone forgets to invite them, he can still be their friend.
How can you say that?
So
are you trying to insult me?
The same hairstyle lasts for years or even decades. They can do shopping for 25 relatives in 25 minutes. And this one really rubbed it in. They don't freak out after they go to a party if sees another man wearing the same shirt. Instead, they become buddies.
This is quite painful for some girls.
For some girls.
If they see another lady wearing the same shirt as them, they will freak out.
They will freak out and they will get very angry.
And they almost want to change the
gown or dress immediately. So that's why if men fall into these 7 categories, I think they can be very happy forever.
All right. Thank you, Eric, for that funny business moment. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to ASEAN Biz, your only choice for business updates covering ASEAN countries. I'm your host, Andrew Chia, and together with me is your co-host,
Eric Chong.
And we bring you business news on everything that happens around the world that involves ASEAN countries.
The title of our main story today is English as a Tool for Business Success in ASEAN, courtesy by
Professional English Academy. Right. Okay. We have this show today. The research and the contents are brought to you by the Professional English Academy.
And I believe that Andrew is very proficient with his English.
It happens that Andrew is the founder and principal of the Professional English Academy.
Okay. So maybe
right?
Maybe you can just enlighten our listeners.
Right. Let's talk about English in ASEAN and in the world. You know, Eric, recently we went to a exhibition involving ASEAN countries. We wouldn't want to say what exhibition is that.
Yes, it's true.
And we heard some presenters speaking in Mandarin. And the other ASEAN members who came all the way from, say, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and some other countries that don't speak Mandarin, we overheard them asking the question, why are the presenters speaking in Mandarin instead of English?
That's something very, I would say, the communication part is really that.
Right. Chinese is, or rather Mandarin, is quite widely used in the whole of Asia.
True, in a sense.
ASEAN countries.
Yes.
But if you talk about international language, I think English is more popular, right?
Yes, and I believe that as the presenter or as the organizer of the event,
right,
they should have highlighted
they should be more professional,
the medium of communications during their presentations.
Yeah, it should be more understanding, because some countries in ASEAN, they really are not good with Mandarin.
Some don't even understand a word of Mandarin.
And it seems that our presenters or the organizers smoothly change over to Mandarin. You know why that is?
Well, I think the first hurdle they have to go through is the speaking in English.
Yeah, they themselves are not so good in English. They themselves
are not so good in English, and probably their lack of confidence when they start to speak English.
So they feel much more comfortable speaking in Mandarin.
Yes, and people always felt comfortable in their comfort zones.
Yeah, and unfortunately, some other members it's become a hardship for them. Right, yeah. You see, even people in China, we read from the news that they would like to learn English because they want to do business with the Americans and the Europeans. Some even went to the extent of having small surgery on their tongues so that they can roll better. You know, Asians can't pronounce the R
right so
well as the English people, right?
Yes. Okay, and surprisingly nowadays you can see Chinese actually speaks very good English.
Yeah, some of them actually.
Some of them, not all, but most of them also can't even understand English. And come back to our ASEAN countries. Let's look at our local arena in Singapore, in Malaysia. You know, they always says that they have this Singlish, there's this Manglish. So what is that all about?
Singapore Singlish simply means Singapore English, and Manglish means Malaysian English.
So in this sense, I would say that they jumble up their grammars,
right?
Their tenses, and even their so-called spelling.
Actually, it's not really that bad, because English in Malaysia and Singapore, there are some advantages. For one, it's very short and straight to the point. Instead of asking you, excuse me, can you do this and that, they can just say, can I? Kenna.
Okay.
It's just 2 words, and
then they said no lah. Okay.
Yeah, all the las and the mays, makes it very easy to understand for the local people.
Yeah, but in a way, it's quite irritating for those who.
Of course, to the natives, they will be scratching their heads. What kind of English is this?
So for the English, when they comes over, they heard all these so-called additional tenses. They will be surprised, and
we'll be talking about these tenses and other parts of grammar in the English in our second segment. Right now, we just want to say that English is very important in many parts of the world, just like Chinese is very important in China, and recently Xi Jinping went to the US, right?
Yes.
And Mark Zuckerberg spoke to him purely in Mandarin. Can you imagine that?
Yes.
He didn't even use a single word of English.
Well, I mean, they are adaptable businessmen.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort for Mark Zuckerberg to learn Chinese, I believe.
Yes.
But he's doing very well, and he can actually talk so well in Chinese.
And actually put a lot of Chinese to shame as well.
Right, yes. And I believe because Facebook is banned in China, right?
Yes.
Probably he wants China to use Facebook.
In our local scene, we can actually see the falling standard of English.
Right. Not only in Malaysia, including even in Singapore
and I mean other countries.
Even in the US, the standard of education and English is dropping.
Well, I think partly to put it in a way, not to blame, people are so accustomed to using short tenses.
Right.
Or like so-called nowadays they do texting a lot instead of speaking, so they do a lot of short form. So in a way, the written English is also
right. The older folks cannot
understand. And what are they typing is all about?
OMG,
LOL, all these things. So there are too many abbreviations.
Right.
And they just rob away the actual proper language. So sometimes it's quite annoying when you see your subordinates typing official letters with short forms and abbreviations.
If it's for Facebook or WhatsApp, it's fine. But if you see these words in your official email or official reports,
and this really annoys me when I was the project manager of a few projects. All my project supervisors corresponded with me with all these so-called SMS languages. I said, what is all this thing? The whole documents will not hold water when you have all these tenses. So guys, if you are reportable or you need to write reports, never use SMS text or short form. Okay, because during any dispute, all these short forms can be disputed, and your documents will not hold water.
It's not official language, right?
It's not official language. So especially those in projects.
Eric, I think we'll take a short break, and we'll be back with our main story. Is that okay? Let's give our listeners a short break right now.
Okay, sure.
Stay tuned, guys. Welcome back. You're listening to ASEAN Biz, and our Durian main story today is English as a tool for business success in ASEAN. But before we continue with the concluding part of our story today, let's take a short break and get a health tip from Eric Chong, our health and fitness coach. Eric is a 100 km marathoner himself, and his health tip story for today is the health benefits of drinking lemon water.
Yes, and during the earlier part I mentioned that I saw 2 interesting posters. One was mentioned just now on the joke side. So now this one is on the health benefits of drinking lemon water. Lemon is a natural energizer. It hydrates and oxygenates the body, so it feels revitalized and refreshed. There are a few points here on the
Luckily,
benefits.
I like to drink lemon water also.
Firstly, it boosts your immune system, balances your pH, flush out unwanted materials, decrease wrinkles and blemishes. Especially useful for women, or rather men as well. Relieve tooth pain, relieves respiratory problems, cures throat infections, excellent for weight loss, reduce fever, and build blood purifier. So a lemon a day will keep the doctor away instead of an apple a day.
Especially that part about relieving respiratory problems. Nowadays we have so much haze in our atmosphere.
Yes, and actually we see nowadays the lemon cost is actually rising. Those days I can get 8 lemons with $5, and I don't think so I can get it now.
So Eric, how many lemons you recommend for everyone?
Well, I think per day 1 lemon will be good enough. You have to take it in the morning with your empty stomach.
Okay,
that will be good.
You just squeeze the juice or you eat the lemon.
It's fine. If you can eat the whole lemon, will be great.
It's too sour, right?
It's too sour, but it will be great. Or some of them will just add slices of lemon into their plain water and drink it the whole day.
That's a good idea.
So either way you take it, it will be good. But it's best that you finish the whole lemon.
Great. Thanks, Eric, for that useful health tip. Let's continue now with our Durian main story. And our story today is English as a tool for business success in ASEAN. Now, this segment will cover some of the differences between English grammar rules and Chinese grammar rules. Why Chinese? Because Chinese is a predominant language in Asia as well as ASEAN, right?
Right, and I think nowadays quite a number of other countries besides ASEAN countries or Asian countries also converse in Mandarin.
Right. Yeah. But the professional exams are all held in English. In Malaysia, we have so many students from all over the world, including China. And when they come to Malaysia to study the professional courses, they have to do the courses in English.
So whether you like it or not, English language is still here to stay.
So they got
and still the so-called internationally accepted language.
But non-English people find it very difficult to learn English. And right now, we will cover a few points why that is so. We are trying to compare the English grammar to Chinese grammar. Incidentally, Chinese grammar is very similar to Malay grammar and probably some other countries' grammar in ASEAN.
Right.
So first of all, we have to tell the students that, for example, in Malaysia, we drive on the left side of the road. In the US or even in China, they drive on the right side. Therefore, what we are trying to say here is that you cannot apply Chinese grammar rules to English, and this is the main problem facing Chinese students.
And the next problem is that most of them will just use Google Translate.
Right, so Google Translate will give you English with Chinese grammar rules.
And they just conveniently plug it in and put it into the documents.
So this is the difficulty of natives trying to teach English to Chinese people because they cannot understand the Chinese problems. Okay, so what we are trying to do here is to outline a few common problems with Chinese grammar, so that once you understand them, you can understand how the English people use their grammar.
And actually, I came across 1 or 2 students who are Chinese they said their difficulty in learning English is that when the teacher teaches in English, they need to translate it into
that's
Chinese,
very common.
Then they put it into proper sentence. Then only they come up with their own English version.
Yeah, similarly with Malay, some lecturers they are doing their lectures in Malay, right?
Yes.
Or in English in the universities. Then they have to translate them, translate what the professor is saying into Malay in order to understand.
Then when they write it out, they have to retranslate it back. So along the way, the translation or during the process will Googleize. And that's why you see a lot of bad grammars in their thesis or in their write-ups.
Okay, right. Let's go straight to the point to tell our listeners what are the main differences between different languages' grammar. The first difference is singular and plural. You know, in Chinese, there's no such thing as plural.
Right.
You say, I have a book, and you say, I have 5 books. The word book and books is the same word in Chinese.
Yes,
okay.
True.
So, to the Chinese student, he will be thinking, why are the English people so stupid? 5 is understood. It's plural. Why do you need to add an S?
It's similar to Bahasa Malaysia also the same thing.
In Bahasa Malaysia, you don't have plurals also.
Yes, you will have 5 buku.
Satu buku is one book. 5 buku is 5 books. So they'll tell you 5 book. You know, the Chinese and the Malay people will say 5 book without hesitation, and they don't see any problem with that. Okay?
But in English it's different.
You must remember it's books,
1 book,
tables,
and 5 books.
Cats, you know, dollars. All this you have plural words, and the thing is, it's not okay just to put an S behind the word, because sometimes the plural words are not that simple. For example, 1 foot, 2 feet. 1 child,
2 children.
You see the problem or not? So the Chinese people will find great difficulty trying to memorize. You have to memorize these new words.
So a lot of people
form.
will just put 5 children's.
They either say 5 childs or they'll say 5 children's. Okay? So that's a big problem for the Chinese.
And most of them will mix up like how much and how many.
Right. Yeah. It's very confusing. Singular and plural is very confusing for the Chinese and Malay students. So guys, if you're having this problem, you need to understand that whether you think that is stupid or complicated, you have to learn the fact that English grammar is like that. You have to put your S where you need to put the S, and you have to memorize the new words like feet or children for the plural forms of the word.
So Andrew, what sort of advice can you give our listeners to actually have a so-called much more better understanding in these kind of scenarios like singular and plural?
Like I mentioned, first of all, you have to understand that different languages have different rules. Just like driving rules in Malaysia is different from China. So you have to understand that if you use your same set of rules, you are going to have an accident. You can get injured or get killed. It's simple as that. So if you use wrong plural words for the word when you're talking to an Englishman or a native English, he will feel how to say it?
Out of place.
He'll feel very sad. He'll feel very angry. He might want to strangle you. You know, this is the kind of feeling that he'll feel.
Or he will feel confused.
Right. So what you have to do with that? There's no other way. You got to memorize your plural words. Okay? And
practice.
Right. The next difference is tenses. For example, the word go. In English, we have go, we have goes, we also have going, and of course, we have went
and gone.
Have gone. Okay? All these words mean the same thing, but except that they tell you different. The difference in timing. Okay? Going is something that you're doing right now. Gone is something in the past, as well as went, and there's a difference which is a bit complicated. So altogether, in English, there are 7 types of tenses. Compared to Chinese, there's only 1 tense. Okay. The word go and went and gone is all the same word in Chinese. Okay. So for the teacher of English trying to teach a student in Chinese, you have to explain to him, okay, that you must learn and memorize the different forms of the word.
For example, how to use it.
Yes, if you don't know that past tense of go is went, you are dead. Okay.
That's
and
funny.
You must memorize all the past participle tenses. For example, come, the past tense is came. But the past participle tense is come also.
Yes.
So this is very confusing to the Chinese student.
Well, okay.
So you have to tell him in a very gentle manner that boy or girl, you got to just memorize this. It's good for you.
It's good for you. And should you all need more lessons, of course we can't
unable to carry Professional out. English Academy for more help. And the next difference is things like pronouns and ownership. For example, we say I and me. I have a book. This is my book.
This
book belongs to me. It is mine. You see, I, me, mine. You know, all mean
the same thing.
It belongs to you, okay?
Yes.
Only one thing. That's the same word in Chinese.
Yes. That's why there's always this thing called there's 3 of us. Me, myself, and I.
Right. And they will not hesitate to say things like, please give me back me book.
That is completely wrong already.
This book belongs to mine.
Okay. So another mistake. So it's very common mistakes. All this
to the Chinese, there's no problem at all because that's how they say it in their language. So you see right now the phenomenon in China, in Malaysia and Singapore, is that the Chinese students use Chinese grammar for English, and they'll speak among their friends, this is my book, and their friend will not see any problem with that.
Yes,
okay?
And this is a very common mistake that a lot of people make. They always said, you said, can you lend me your book? Then they will always say, can you borrow me your book?
They get confused with lending and
borrowing. So these are very common mistakes which a lot of people are doing.
Because the word lend and borrow is also the same word in Chinese.
It's also the same thing. It's just that how you apply it to which party.
Right. Yeah? So the Chinese people have to first of all understand that you need to use different rules for different languages. Once you can accept that fact, then you have no problem learning the rules of a new language.
So I believe that a lot of languages will have their own set of rules.
Definitely.
So, and rules are sometimes it's quite difficult to follow.
Yeah, for example, you don't talk about driving, you talk about ball games. A game of basketball, the main rule is that you use your hands, right?
Yes.
And a game of football, you use your legs.
But sometimes
if you do it upside down, then you're breaking the rules. You cannot use different rules.
And you can see that a lot of people say rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah, that's what they are doing right now.
And sometimes it's quite annoying that I have met people that submit their documents in bad tenses, and so when you try to correct them, then the first thing they ask is, you understand, isn't it? You understand, that's good enough,
Right. In fact, that's a trend among young people today.
So it's very annoying when you try to correct something and that you get this kind of feedback. So at times it's really...
You know why? As we mentioned earlier, Eric, it's very difficult and complicated for the students to learn something new and something which they believe is irrelevant or redundant. For example, why do you need to say 5 books? Yeah. The word 5 already tells you that it's plural. Why do you need to differentiate the word? You're causing me a lot of problems. I have so many things to remember and so many games to play and with so many rules time. You want me to memorize all these plural forms for what?
Yes. And I remember quite some time ago I have this so-called dispute with my friends concerning pronunciations. When we say 5, it's 5. When we say 50, it's 50. So they said
50.
So he said, why when you pronounce 5, why 50 must pronounce as 50 and not 50?
Right. English is complicated. You don't ask why. Different grammar has different rules, that's all.
Right. So at that junction, we were all young. So it's just that he's from a Chinese ad and we are from English ad. So there's all this argument what comes about.
Right. For example, Mr. Lau will tell the Englishman, my name is Mr. Lau. No, you are Mr. Low.
Yeah.
You cannot say Mr. Lau. L-O-W is pronounced as low. Then Mr. Lau will tell him, how do you pronounce C-O-W? And how do you pronounce H-O-W? You see, that's a problem,
that's
right?
the problem here.
So English pronunciation as well as grammar is a little bit complicated, right?
So different way of pronunciation will have a different meaning. And actually when you try to speak with bad pronunciations, the so-called the transcript or the meaning of your sentence will be wrong. And it will be miscommunicated.
Right. And for the last difference between these languages, what Eric mentioned just now probably applies here. It's the difference between verbs, nouns, and adjectives. Some of you don't know what all these things are, okay? For example, Chinese people find it difficult to differentiate between assistant and assistants.
Yes.
For example, he will point to his friend and say, this is my assistant.
Which is wrong.
Actually, he is his assistant. Okay,
right.
But to him, it's the same word in Chinese. And the word angry and anger is a complicated word to the Chinese because it's also the same word.
It's the same
anger
word.
And same word in the Chinese. So they'll say, I'm angry. In my angry, I slapped him. So to the Englishman, he'll be very confused. Why are you saying that? You should say, in my anger, I stepped in. Okay? And the word apply and application is also the same word. I applied for a credit card. My apply was approved.
My application was rejected.
Ah, yes, but they don't know how to use the word application. It's a big word. It's a long word.
And difficult to spell.
Right, yes. Just now I heard on radio, a consultant on feng shui was saying this. My clients came to my consult.
Wow, that's something new.
Of course, he can't say the word consultancy. It's a big word, right?
Yes. So he just cut it off or swallow the other half.
Right. So, you see, it's difficult for the Chinese people. But for you guys Chinese out there, you just got to remember, and if you can't find the place where you can practice all these new words, the place to go to is
Professional English Academy.
Okay, you can visit the website professional-english.us or write to admin@professional-english.us, or you can simply write to me, andrew@andrewchia.com, for some help. And you listeners today are in for a treat.
We'll visit DurianASEAN.com to get your free ebook titled 4 Steps to Mastering English for Chinese Educated Students.
Wow, Eric, that's not too bad, right? 4 steps.
Too bad. Yeah, 4 steps.
And the 4 steps are just what we have mentioned today. All the 4 different types of differences between the grammar.
And it's good enough.
Right. From our observation, 90% of the mistakes made by Chinese students fall into these 4 areas only.
Right. So guys, just go into DurianASEAN.com and you get your free ebook. It's a very valuable ebook. It's not available outside except in DurianASEAN.com.
Right. And it's not a big book that you will take 10 hours to read. It is only 14 pages, guys. 14 pages, and it's free.
Right. So, okay, just to hype up our event for next week.
Our next guest for the show would be?
Next guest for the show, right? Is the entrepreneurs, is a husband and wife team.
Wow.
They are the founder and owner of a Snowflakes dessert chain. In case you all like dessert, is homegrown in Malaysia. Is a Malaysian brand.
Yeah, we would like to listen to their story.
We would like to listen to their stories, and the husband and wife team will be on air. So stay tuned to our
next editions
on next Tuesday. That's right. On the 6th October.
Great. All right, folks. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, and we hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back with a brand new story of our Durian main story on ASEAN Biz in our next edition.
Bye for now.